Hello everybody, apologies to everyone that watched the video yesterday. I accidentally left part of it out, so I'm going to reissue the video. So you've seen quite a bit of what's coming on this video, but if you scoot forward to about 2/3 of the way through, you can see the additional, just basically the results of the spreadsheet and a couple of other bits which I must have accidentally deleted. You can't trust this software, you know. Anyway, and then just a couple of comments as well, because some people made some really good comments on the video which I'm just about to replace. Sorry about that, guys, but very useful comments. And one of them was, you'll see later, this thing gets quite hot, and now I understand why they put these rubber feet on there. They put that rubber feet on there to keep it off the deck so that the back doesn't just melt, basically. And a couple of people asked me, is this the unit which I repaired? I'm repaired and modified, I think 2 or 3 units for different people that have got this fault in the power supply. You'll see it if you look at the other video. You'll see that. Well, the answer is no. This one's a virgin. You can see it's never been opened. It belongs to my neighbour down the road, Simon, if you're watching, and he kindly agreed to lend it to me so I could do these tests. And so here it is. This is Simon's charger, and you can see it's a virgin. It's never been touched by me, or improved by me, should I say, or modified or fiddle around. This is as it came out of the factory, so hopefully it's a typical unit. In this video we're just going to, well, watch the video and you'll find out. And yeah, apologies if you watched it already, but there are some extra bits in it, and the main results of the spreadsheet are about 2/3 of the way through. If you want to scoot forward, then you can watch those if you're interested. If you're not, well, you should be. Hello tubers, there they are, competitors running side by side. Did the charge of the battery over here, this thing, you've seen this in parts 1, 2 and 3, did the charge and did another discharge. So it was charged with the NOCO Genius5 and one more discharge, just to confirm that we're getting consistent results. And actually they are pretty consistent, and I'll go over those in a bit. But I'll just show you what's happening at the moment. Is that this battery has been discharged to 10.6 volts, 10 amps, and then 1 hour later I put it on charge with the CTEK. So now we're going to do a CTEK charge and see A, whether we get any more charge, and B, what it does during the charge in terms of reconditioning. I've done this before, but on a different, much more, I say, poorly battery, one that's functional. This one's functional but wanting, and the other one was just plain bad. So anyway, the CTEK's charging, and I don't know if you can see that. It's been on for how many minutes? I'm not sure. Oh, 28 minutes. It's been on 28 minutes, and that's what the CTEK is telling us. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 are off, so it's skip 4 and 5, which from the manual I can't remember. We'll see what those are in a moment. I'll look it up and add it to this blank space in the video. Yeah, 4 is absorption and 5 is analyze. Make what you will of that. And 6 and 7 have come on, so we've gone straight to 7 from what was pretty much a dead flat battery really. So it's gone into 7 after 28 minutes, 29 minutes now. And if we look back up here to the Yokogawa, you can see that we have put back in, the charge current is 4.48, 12.8 volts across the terminals, and 2.26 amp hours have been stuffed back in the battery. And what I'm doing is, if I pan over to the computer is just logging the data from the Yokogawa into a common delimited file. So instead of using my other charge discharge utility, I can put this up on a Excel spreadsheet and play around with the data. So when I've done this with the CTEK, we can then discharge the battery and see if we got a similar discharge capacity, see whether it's made any improvement, and then possibly try, I'm not quite sure, I have to read the manual on how to engage the CTEK's repair mode, because you can see there's on here there's a separate LED there, recondition mode they call it. Okay, so we're going to do a separate recondition as well, but let's do a discharge of the battery first, and then we'll do a reconditioning charge on the CTEK to see whether we get any improvement in that battery. And the other thing that's happened is that you can see the Genius5 is on at the moment, and you can see it's doing its I don't know if you can see that on there. If I fix the, if I just adjust the shutter, you should be able to see this. If I just turn the brightness down a bit, Can you see it throbbing now? You can, can't you? And that's what it's doing anyway. And this, oh, I forgot to tell you what it was charging, so let's turn that back to normal. It's connected to a Jaguar battery down there. It's a large battery. It is a Prestige 90 amp hour. Yeah, the Jaguar, and it gives extra power, and it's platinum, and oh, it's fantastic, and it's original quality. It's everything you could ever want in a battery, except that the dealer said your battery's tired, we need to sell you a new battery. So alright, I'll buy a new battery because I don't want to get stuck, and put the one in the boot, and there it is, out the boot. So it was working, and I wasn't aware it was faulty, but they say that they did a test with their battery tester and I needed a new battery. And I thought, okay, opportunity. So we're going to do some discharge tests on this one and some reconditioning and all the rest of it with that one. So we'll have two batteries, so a double R battery sample size. Does that make that twice as valid? You tell me, I don't know. Anyway, that's what the NOCO's doing at the moment. She's doing the do on a Jaguar 90 amp hour battery, platinum. So what could possibly go wrong? Alright, so that's what's happening, and I'll be back on the computer in a jiffy for you when I've done the tests, and we'll review the results. They will be revealed. Which one is better at reconditioning or repair, depends which terminology you use, or which one, if either, is better. We'll find out. So, yep, carry on watching and we'll get on to that next. One thing I would say about this CTEK is that I noticed this before, but anyway, look, 4.38 amps we've got up there. So it's going at 4.4 amps, it's not 5 amps at the moment, at 12.8 volts. But this thing is hot. That is like, if that was bath water, you'd jump straight back out again, I'm not kidding. Especially round here, crikey, that is really hot. Let's see what the temperature is of that back of that unit. Well, there you go, this is, the back of this unit is hot, and we've got, you can see, 55, 57 degrees, 6 degrees, so about between 57 and 55 degrees, which is pretty bloody hot actually. Excellent hand warmer, but it shouldn't get that hot. I don't know what the ambient is inside, but it's not going to be good for it. But I'd say that is one strong virtue of the NOCO at the moment, is the NOCO doesn't really get warm at all. So yeah, inferior designed electronics in the power supply, less efficient obviously. And NOCO's the clear winner on efficiency and cool running, baby. So yeah, observation for you. Alright everyone, just an update. We're on I don't know, 16 hours or something like that. The charge current has dropped to 20 milliamps on the final knockings. Interestingly, these lights all came on pretty quickly, and then 6 came on for the bulk charge within 15 minutes, 10 minutes of plugging in. 5 was missed completely. Hasn't come on yet, so, but we're charging at 190 milliamps at the moment. I don't know if you can see that. If I just I wouldn't know really that the charge was actually doing anything. That's the point I'm trying to make here, is that you can see the light on the end, which is presumably hold on, sorry, you can see the light on the end where presumably we are at the moment, which is here. That one isn't really that much different in intensity to the rest, but clearly it is in this stage, I think. So when you plug this thing in, instead of flashing this light, they've just made it dim, which is a mistake. It should be doing something positive, because at the moment I look at this and think, is that a glow coming from number 7, or is number 8 actually on? Difficult to say at the moment, but you can see the illumination there on number 8. It's not clear as to whether it's completed, so if you had a cursory glance and you didn't know, you say, oh, it's done it, and unplug it, and yet it still thinks it's doing something. So that's the first thing. And of course, note number 5, which is a stage I'll look up in a minute, hasn't come on at all. But we're still going, and we've got 190 milliamps flowing and a terminal voltage of 13.7, so it's doing something. Absorption charge, who knows? This pulsing it's showing here, if you look on the scope, that's the current waveform. There's no pulsing, it's just a standard 190 milliamps DC at the moment, so this if there's any pulsing, it must be on and off, you know, at long intervals, not a sort of reconditioning pulse, more a charge and relax over several minutes. We'll see when we do the yeah, so the NOCO is still going, so yeah, stand by for the proper full results and we'll see whether anything really dastardly has been going on. So here's the plot from the mighty Yokogawa of the current and voltage of the CTEK MXS 5.0 charger. I'm sorry I digressed away from the NOCO, but people have been asking, and I think it's valid because these two seem to be two of the most popular chargers, so it seems reasonable to compare them. Don't know what you think, leave a comment. But yeah, you can see here just down this end, this is the red trace here is the current. I'll show you a bit more of an expanded view of this area because it's quite interesting. And this is the voltage, right? And you can see we start off at something like 11.8 volts. So you can just see there where that is, that point there, that it was 11.8 volts, but it quickly came up to something like 12 very quickly. And you can see here's the current down here. You can see it after I switched the current on, this is time equals 0. It soon ramped up to 4.7 amps, 4.68 amps. Okay, so it's a maximum of 4.68, not 5 amp charger. Not that it really matters, but it's not. And this is the time measurements over here, and there were 3,000 readings from the, 30,000 readings from the NOCO during the period of the charge, which is about 16 hours. Okay, so you can see the current is ramping down as the voltage comes up to this point here. There is a switch off such section there where it does some kind of analysis or something, and then it resumes the charge, and then the completion charge or the soak charge or whatever you want to call it, absorption charge carries on until up here at reading 30,090 the current is off, and I left it to run for a couple of hours to make sure that it didn't come back on, and it didn't. It stopped charging at that point. All right, so we know that it fed back in to the charge. What did I measured it actually? Yeah, it fed back in 22 amp hours of charge went into the battery, because I measured the current and the voltage on the Yokogawa. So the Yokogawa has registered this power. I can probably display you a chart of the power in a moment. Actually, I could add it onto this series, couldn't I? Well, I'll send you another chart of the power going in. But anyway, the battery gave out about 1.5 amp hours less than went in. So that was the charge cycle. And if we just scroll down a bit, all right, so you can see up here we've got the date of measurement, time of measurement. So we started at 5:05 in the afternoon, 17:05. Got the voltage, start voltage, the current, which was 0 to start with, the power in watts, integration time in minutes and hours, watt hours, and then here we've got the amp hours. Okay, so the cumulative amp hours is in this column here, column J. So let's just scoot down. So we started at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and then we go all the way down to the bottom, and you can see there are literally thousands and thousands of measurements. You can see it's just up here, the current, that's the current there, is just reducing. It's just ramping down. You can see it to 7.328. It's not really doing very much at all, roughly about 270 milliamps. If we just carry on scrolling down, it goes to 20 milliamps. Let's just make it into amps format cells. Number 2. Okay, so it's 200 milliamps there you got there. And then all the way down, 190 milliamps, literally just ramping down slowly as it gets towards the terminal voltage, at which point it will stop charging. And then you can see here, look, it's it goes down to 10 milliamps, and then it's switching. Here, there's a quick turn off to check the voltage, presumably for 10 seconds. You can see it's off at 22 seconds past. and it's back on by 28. So it's literally a 5-second switch off. I'm assuming it's just checking the voltage. And we can see that's happening every now and then. There's another one there. It's off for longer this time. It's off for nearly 15 seconds that time. But it's getting less and less frequent, and then at the end it just finally, there by this point here, it's switched off completely. It doesn't come back on at all. That's the end of the charge. So the end of the charge here is at 15:26 the next day. Okay, so it's taken 22 and a half hours. Is that right? 23 and a half hours. 15, 16, 17, yeah, 23 and a half hours the charge was. And you can see that the current, the power that was put back in, that's the amp hours, was 22.69 amp hours was put into the battery, right? So that's the end of that. So that's what the actual CTEK charger did during that charge. Well, this is the results. I'm just going to show you this. If you remember this, if you want to see the detailed breakdown of this chart and what it is explained, then look at the parts 1, 2, 3 of this series. This is part 4. Part 4 of the NOCO Genius5, but due to popular demand from the YouTubers, we're comparing it to the CTEK on this battery. While this battery is in this condition, we're going to try the CTEK and see what happens. So we did one final discharge, step 12 here, the discharge only from a NOCO Genius5 charge, and we did the same standard discharge as we've normally been doing, and look, we got a 1% increase in value. I don't think that's significant, but we put 0.01 amp hour extra. It's kind of stabilized around the 21.66, 21.67, so it's quite consistent, and you know, within the realms of fantasy really. So that's what's happened. So it's stabilizing around about 21.6. You can see it 21.74 up there. Ignore this. This was a slow 2.5 amp power discharge according to the Auto Association starter battery capacity test specifications. All right, 2.5 amps discharge. So the pink one, forget about it. So we got 21.67. So then we did a charge with the CTEK MXS 5.0, and it got quite hot, and here's the results. Quite interesting. So our NOCO only managed to, let's move up a bit, pump out 20.57 amp hours of capacity. And what I'll show you in a moment is I recorded all the charge waveforms so you can see the full CTEK charge cycle. Yeah, so that's what we got, 20.57 or a minus 5.1%, and that's the worst drop we've had since the early days, since we started using the recondition mode, so not good. So the CTEK at the moment, who knows, but maybe an aberration. But I'm just charging again with the CTEK MXS 5.0, then after it's charged I'm going to engage, they call it Recond mode, and we're going to give it a good old blast on Recond. So it's charging now, then I'll do the big recon and I'll come back to you with the results of that. But it doesn't look good for the CTEK at the moment, but we'll do another couple of charges, and then finally we'll do a cycle with the NOCO Genius5 and see whether that comes up with better results than the CTEK. But for my money at the moment, because the CTEK gets so hot and they are pretty unreliable, and as you know, every 10 degrees increase in ambient temperature of electronics roughly halves the reliability. So 20 degrees higher, you get a quarter of the reliability, and so on, assuming a stable design. It's a factor of the temperature causing aging and wear in the components, particularly capacitors and things like FET switching transistors. Okay, you can see the derating curves and the reliable information of the semiconductor manufacturers' websites if you want to see it and check it. Yeah, so not looking good at the moment, minus 5.1%, but keep the open minds, as I say. So the CTEK's charging the battery again. I'm not sure about these lights, you know. That to me looks like the 7 light is partially illuminated. I don't know what the significance of partial illumination is, anyone know? It's I think it's that 7 light is actually supposed to be off because it's not complete. It's recharging a pretty flat battery. So again, we've got 1, 2 and 3 are quite bright, 4 and 5 are off. 6 is dim orange. What does that mean? Don't know, about half brightness of these. And 7 is on, definitely on. that again, what's the significance of 7? Because it's not the super bright 7, it's that dim half 7. So strange thing with the LEDs, and of course it's super toasty hot as it's charging this battery up again. So after it's done this charge, we'll do the recondition mode for 12 hours or however long it takes, and then we'll do another discharge and see how it stacks up against the NOCO, and at the end we'll do a final charge with the NOCO to see whether NOCO does better than the CTEK once again on this battery. So stand by, give me your comments down below and I'll take them into account. Thanks for watching.